Okay, so it is recording, it looks like. So, you know, if you want to, for those of you who are just now joining us, so this is going to be very basic stuff. So if at some point you realize this is like way below you and you already know all of this and you want to leave and then just watch and fast forward the video later, you can do that. We do have the chat, but if I'm going to be sharing my screen with you, I probably won't be seeing that. So you all can monitor the chat with each other and either answer questions or unmute yourself and shout out and yell out the question. But today we're really just going to kind of be going over some extreme basics like logging in and how you navigate where everything is, looking at the calendar, some on the dashboard, and on how to create a course and add a module. That's all we're getting to today. And then next week, we're going to take it further. Okay, so I'm planning on Thursdays from 3:30 to 4:30, just little chunks so that you can kind of work your way through it. And if you have questions, if you want to stay after and ask me questions individually, we can Zoom and share our screens and see that kind of stuff too, okay? So I know some of you have used Canvas before. How many of you all, you can either wave or do the little thumbs up reaction or whatever if you've used it. Okay. All right, so a few of you have. Okay, so those of you who have, like I said, feel free to jump out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up my screen, share my screen. All right, here we go. So to get to Canvas, now I have it up here on my bookmark toolbar. Well, you can't see it because it's right there. Canvas. Which if you're not using your toolbar, your bookmark toolbar in Google, I would recommend that you do that, but that's for another day. But if you go to Staff Resources, Canvas is the first one there. You can also just type in the fcpsinstructure.com. Okay, so that's how you get to it. It's already logged in for me. It automatically logs in because I am logged into Google and I'm using Google Chrome for that. If it comes up and asks you to log in, it is your, let me just see if I can log out here. Let me hide everybody. So, maybe log out here. Anyway, yes, here we go. So it'll look like this, and you're just gonna log in with your Google account. Oh, great. So anyway, and it comes up to the dashboard. So on your dashboard, you will see classes that are already there, that have already been set up. Those were already pulled in from Infinite Campus. And the funny thing is that I had a student who has added my class, and so they created a new class during the quarantine. Hers is even in here, okay? Because they automatically just every night update, I think every night. It may not be every night, but I think if you get a new student in your class, they should be added to your class soon. And it's an automatic thing. You don't have to update. One thing I will say, though, is you need to pay attention. You'll have more than this. But these are, like, for example, you notice the number, it's a semester 2 class. So you have both semesters. They set them up as 2 separate classes, semester 1 and semester 2. And one way to see all of those is to go to courses, and you will see just the ones that are showing right here for me. But if I click on all courses, then they are all listed. So these are all of the courses that I have. These are the ones that have been pulled in, and these others are some that I have set up in the past. And then if I scroll down, I have a lot more, but all of those were not showing up on my dashboard. Just 5 are showing up on my dashboard. And the way to do that is if you go to courses and you go to all courses, then you see those stars to the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. These are the 5 classes that are showing up on my dashboard. Sometimes you're going to have students who are going to say, I don't see that class. That's what they need to do, is click on this star and go to that. Right now, I'm going to just unstar these other classes so that all I see is this one. Okay? Let me take a second to stop and see, does anybody have any questions? Some more have joined us. Does it do peer tutors? I think it does, because it does my teacher's aides. So, I mean, it does any class that is assigned to you in Infinite Campus. I'm not sure if you are a co-teacher. I don't think it will set up the class for you if you're a co-teacher, okay? So like Jessica, if you're going into somebody else's class, they might need to add you as a teacher to that class that they have set up, okay? But I'm not sure how that works if you're not the primary teacher. But I'm sure peer tutors are in there as well. So because my teacher's aides are in there. Other questions? So you understand the whole, like, just to show it on the dashboard, we just go into the all courses and star it. Okay. And the reason you'd want to do that is you don't want to have like every class showing first semester and second semester, because they are automatically set up that way. You know, they're automatically creating a first semester class and automatically creating a second semester class. Now, when you are doing a class, when you're going to set up a class in here, and I'm going to say this a couple of times, you need to create a shell course. So we're going to talk about how to automatically set up a course, how to make it a shell course. If you have a PLC, your entire PLC, all the teachers can be in that same course, and setting everything up. And then later on, we will talk about how to drop that into these other courses that are automatically created. So you don't necessarily want to be developing the course in the one that is automatically set up for you. As a matter of fact, you don't want to do that, because then you're doing it on the fly. So, and those are only created, they only show up for you, like, for example, for next school year, they're going to show up in the end of, you know, mid-August, or whenever they open up IC and do all of that, you know, with the class schedules and all of that. So you don't want to wait until then to start putting everything in. You want to build your shell course with no students in there, and put all of your units together, and then you'll put it into the Canvas courses. Does that make sense? So that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to start working on that shell course. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go back again. You all just yell at me if you have questions. All right. So this is a class that I created. All you have to do to create a class is you go over here. When we're in our dashboard, which is over here on this side, we can start a new course. Okay. There are other things here that you might want to pay attention to. For example, under your account, which I have a picture here, I would suggest that you put some kind of a picture or an emoji, you know, profile picture for yourself. You have notifications, which I click on those. Now these have different settings. It's going to email me, and here are the settings. Notify me right away, send a daily summary, a weekly summary, or don't send me anything for each of these different things. So, and you see the one that's green is whatever's chosen. And you don't necessarily know right now what you want this to look like, but do know that it's under accounts and under notifications. So for example, if you have a student submit something to you, do you want to get an email every single time a student submits something? Probably not. You're probably going to want maybe a daily summary, maybe a weekly summary, Maybe you don't want an email at all because you just know you're going to go in there and look for it when it's due. And discussion posts, those might be something where you want an immediate notification. If a student posts something in the discussion board, you might want to know immediately, or you may want a daily summary of that. So those are all under account, and then notification. Here's another little tip that you will probably forget because I forgot it. But they're under account, there's files, and then I see all of these. Now, these are all of my classes, and if I go into a class, then it shows me the files that are in there, okay? So in this class, you know, some of these classes I don't have very much in there at all because I haven't put much in. But like, for example, on this one, there's more stuff. You can, if you click on one of these, let's say under administration code training, I want to clean this up somehow and have them in folders. I can click on folder over here. It puts a new folder in there, and then I'm going to say slide decks, or unit 1, or whatever it's going to say, and then I can just move things up into that folder. Now, I don't use this much. I don't use the folders. I kind of just upload stuff as I go, but if you are the kind of person who wants to organize it all kind of ahead of time, you can go ahead and upload all your files here. I'll show you how to add a file to the site otherwise, but just it's kind of good to know that that's located there. And then also on this side over here, while we're going, we talked about the dashboard. That's where it opens up. Every time you open Canvas, it opens to the dashboard. So that you're going to become familiar with. Courses we talked about is where you need to go to see all of your courses, even the ones that are hidden. And that's a good one to share with your students. Calendar is helpful because it will show you all of the calendars for all of your classes. And if you have assignments that are due, they will show up here. And you can also add an assignment from the calendar. I would probably add it in the module where I am instead of adding it here, but you can do it here if you want, or at the very least, you can see this. And this is a good thing to point out to the students. Here is your calendar, and it should be color-coded based on the color codes of this stuff, and I'll show you how to change that. There's an inbox. You won't probably use this very much, but you can send messages to students and they can send them to you. The Commons area is where you can find other modules and lessons that other teachers have created. So here are some. Chet Jenkins has some. These are Fayette County. These are filtered by Fayette County teachers. There's Susan McGrath and Rachel Pauley, some names for people that we know. There's even second grade teachers and modules in here, and you can go in and filter. You can search all of that. The Commons area. You can even look for teachers outside of Fayette County. If you want to look for a quiz on parts of speech, you can go out and do that. And then the last thing, this help section here, Canvas's help is really, really good. They do have a chat that you can chat with somebody. They will do a live chat. And they also have a hotline that you can call and talk to a person who pretty much knows most of what you're going to ask. They're really good. The times that I have called, they even know who in our district that they need to talk to fix whatever problem it was that was occurring. So that is a good place to look when you're having questions. They have a lot of reference guides and videos and things like that. So their help is really, really good. One more thing back to dashboard before I go on. When you're in your dashboard, you're going to see all these different classes. Let me go back and add these courses, some of these back. Okay, so I'm going to put a couple of these back in. And when I go to the dashboard, they kind of look like this. It's hard to tell which class this is. When I hover over it, I see that it's semester 2, period 2. So I can rename this. by clicking on these little 3 dots. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to say this is, let's see, it's B2 semester 2. And, you know, maybe I want to put algebra 1, whatever. And I can choose a different color. Now this will be the color that it's color coded here and in the calendar. So I can click that and say apply. Okay, and it changed the name. So it's easier for me to see what it is. And I can, you know, you can go in and do that for each of them. Change it, change the color, change the name, change the color. B3, I don't even know what this one is really, but I'm just going to change it because we don't use it, and so on. Okay, so that way it's easier for you to see. I think if you change that, it changes it for the students too. And so here's a thing to see. Or no, that was something else. Never mind. Okay, so do y'all have any more questions? Should you do a shell course for each different prep? For different preps, yes. For different sections of the same course, no. You're gonna do, so, you know, Algebra 1, you know, if you have general and advanced, you might wanna do a different prep or a different shell course for those. But if you have, you know, 5 sections of Algebra 1, you're going to do one shell course, you're going to drop it into the 5 different sections. Okay? Other questions? Okay. All right. Well, if you're following along on a computer, you can start a new course. We'll go in and I'll show you how to start a new course. And we'll change it around a little bit, do some stuff to it. Okay, so let me go back and share. Okay, so to start a new course, you click here. You're gonna give it a name. I'm gonna call this my course shell. And I'm gonna keep it private, copyrighted. Here's where the district is getting dinged a lot recently for teachers putting copyrighted information, maybe a picture of a textbook page or a workbook page or whatever on a public website. Make sure that yours is private and copyrighted, and then you don't have to worry because only your students see it. You have those, the rights to share those. And when you open up, this is what it looks like for you. Notice you don't have any modules, and it's going to tell you you need modules. I don't know why they call them modules. They are, I would think of them as more topics or units. But if you organize your class in a different way, then, you know, however you organize your class, that's what these are. So we have created a class, we have named the class. And now the very first thing we're going to do is create a module. So we just click on that and we name this one, I'm going to name it Unit 1, and it is factoring. And so that pops up there. And I can go through and I can add all of my units, keeping in mind, and I should have put this when I named it, this is first semester. So I'm only going to set up the modules for first semester, and then I can set up the modules for second semester. You could set up one shell course for the entire year and then only drop the modules that you want into the particular courses. So that way, if you typically, you know, I don't know how structured and how set you all are. If you always get through 10 units in semester 1, then set it up as a semester, and because it gets a little bit more clunky to do it module by module, but that's how you create the modules. So I can just go on and do another one, Unit 2. There is a prerequisite. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I'm going to just set another unit. And notice that these are just empty. There's nothing in them. It's just the module. And you see a little circle here with a line through it, meaning that they are not published. And that's because this whole course over here is not published. So while I'm working on it this summer, setting everything up, I'm going to keep it unpublished. As soon as I'm ready for my students to see it, I'm going to click publish, and it turns green, and then the students would be able to see it. And then if I wanted to, I can always go back and unpublish it. But if you publish your course and then you forget to publish your modules, then just keep in mind, if the students say, you know, you're excited, you've given it out to the students, they say, oh, I can't see it. Maybe you need to check and make sure that it is published. And it's just a click to do that. If you want to see at any point you're in this course and you want to see what it looks like for the students, you can click over here on this side, Student View. And so as soon as I click that, it goes over and it shows me this is what it looks like for the student. Notice Unit 1 is showing, but I don't see Unit 2 because that was not published yet. So I have control over what I want my students to see. I can build the whole course. It can all be in there, but I can only, you know, I can feed them little by little what I want them to see. And then down here at the bottom, it's to leave student view. You just click that. Let me just also mention, on the left-hand side over here, you see these things, home, discussion, grades. This is kind of how you're going to navigate through. But when I leave student view, you're going to see that there's more over here. Okay, so there's announcements and assignments and discussions, all of that. And the little I right here, the reason these are not visible right now to students is because they are, the I is, there's nothing in these. They would typically show up, but because there's nothing in them. If I go over here and make an announcement really quickly, hi, how's it going? And then I'm going to save that. My husband's going to make a lot of noise right now because he just came in and that's what he does best. So if it gets noisy, I apologize. Hopefully he'll stop soon. Anyway, I'm going to go back over to my home and go back to the student view. And now I should see announcements. And actually, you even see the to-do. This is a good thing for you and for your students to see. For students, it will show announcements. It will show upcoming assignments. It will show anything that they have yet to do that they haven't turned in. For you, it will show things that you need to grade that have been submitted. So that's kind of a handy thing to see there too. Go back out of student view. One other thing that you can do down here, there are a whole lot of things here to show. And maybe you don't want all of those to show for the students. So you can go into settings, and under navigation, here are all the things that can show, and you can drag them down here and drop them if you don't want them to show. For example, if I don't want Edpuzzle to show, I just drop it down here. It will then hide from students. And if there's some of this Gale stuff that you want to use to make Summer Perry happy, you can click and drag that up. If I don't want students to see attendance, you can just drag it down and that just kind of cleans things up for the students and they won't be able to see that up here. We found that on the side, when you're in the class, it's on the side under settings. So it's right down here. Another thing you're going to find under settings in the course details is you can choose an image. So back here, notice that this has an image, but these others are just blank. If you want it to look a little bit different so that you can quickly and easily see what it is, or the students can see what it is when they're on their dashboard, then you would do that by going into the course. Oh, I went into the wrong one. I want to go into my course shell. And then you go to settings and you choose an image. That image that I created for that other class, I did it in Google Slides and I exported it as a JPEG and then I pulled it in. So if you want that picture to just say, B1, then you can go to Google Slides and make it, I've got the picture size somewhere around here, but really you could just do a Google slide, save it, and then pull it in, and it would show you as a, it would say B1. So you can get creative with that if you want. All right, I'm gonna stop and see if we've got any questions. Y'all have any questions? Jessica's been the only one asking questions so far. Anybody else? All right, let's see. Okay, so back in the course, if I am in my course shell and I have modules set up and I want to move those around, you can, those little dots on the side, when you mouse over them, you can just click and drag. You can move them around that way. And you can, you know, like I said, we can publish or unpublish things. The plus sign is going to expand it. There is nothing in there right now. And so if I go into a module, let's say that I want to add an assignment or a file, those are added over here. I'm going to talk about those a little bit more later, but let's say that I want to add a file to this course. Then I can just click on upload right there. You all can play around with this some and see what the other things are, but we're going to get into more of the details of how to add an assignment and how to grade an assignment later. Mostly I just wanted to show you today how to set up modules and how to rearrange those. Like I said, when you come in, you're going, the home page that you see is your module page. You can change that over here on the button. Some people like to create a page that's just going to have welcome to Miss Overstreet's class. You know, we're going to do blah, blah, blah. And then they have the modules linked from there. But really, if you're just starting out and you're just wanting to set something up quick and easy, just have all the units and you will see everything. The students will only see what you show them. Oh, important. Adding other people to your course. I am in my course shell and I'm going to go to people. Right now, it's only me. If this were my one that's imported from Infinite Campus, it's going to be me as a teacher and then my students in their roles as students. And you can just sort by that. But because this is a course shell that I set up, if I wanted to add other teachers who are in my PLC, I click on the people button and let's say I'm going to add Kara Patterson because I've been talking math. So Kara Patterson at fayette.kyschools.us. And I'm going to give her the role of teacher. And then I'm going to say next. Kara, I'll take you out, but I'm just going to, so here she is. It found who she is, and I'm going to add the user, and there she is. Now, she would have to accept that, but you can set everybody up, and as long as you give them the role of teacher, then all of your other teachers who are in there have the rights to add modules, to add lessons, to tweak lessons, to, you know, whatever needs to be done. So that's what I would suggest that you do with your PLC is to set up, you know, like set up the shell course and then add all the teachers that are in your PLC so that they can be adding stuff to it and working on it. Does that make sense? All right, that's 4 o'clock. That's all I was going to show you today. Hopefully it wasn't too overwhelming for you. You can, between now and next week, set up a course, set up some modules, or at least one module so that next week we can work on how you add some stuff to it. Okay? Do y'all have any final questions? Oh, somebody's question just popped in. Let me see what this is. Wes likes it. I do too. It has more of a learning curve than Google Classroom, that's for sure. But once you get into it, it's pretty simple to use. It's really good for teachers who like to have everything set up ahead of time. So if you're working on it over the summer, you can have it all set up. and you can just kind of tweak it as you go and open and close it for the students. So that's kind of good. Do I have any thoughts about how this will integrate with stuff we already have? Yes, it works well with Google Classroom. So if you already have stuff in Google Classroom, we're going to work on that in some of the later sessions on how to add that Google Classroom stuff to Canvas. So don't freak out if all your stuff is Google Slides and Docs and Forms. It's okay. And you notice that on my thing, it also had a link so you can link your Google Drive, and it had a link so you can link your Office 365 as well. So, you know, we still have some students who are holding on to that. I want to open up the Word and Office 365 and work on that. This will work with both of them. I know at the very beginning of quarantine, there was some kind of a hiccup with Google Drive, but they were quick to work on it and figure it out. And it had been working, and then all of a sudden it stopped. I think it was just because Google Drive was overloaded with everybody in the whole world being at home, you know. But yes, you can set up things in Google Docs, and you can share them with students. There are different ways to do everything. We will talk about that. I will make a note of that question. Who is Test? I don't even know who you are, but I will make a note of your question and be sure to answer that in the future, okay? And trying to make documents that can be used. Merrick. Okay, Merrick, you are Test. I will get back with you, Angela, for sure. I'll spend some time researching your question, making sure I know exactly how to answer it too, okay, before the next time. All right, and that's all I've got. If you all have any other questions, you're welcome to stay. If you want to go, go. If you want to come back next week, we will be doing it again, 3:30 to 4 next Thursday, okay? All right. Thanks, everybody. Y'all have a good one. See ya.